All right, everybody, I am back with a brand new review, and I'm doing something a little bit different on my channel here today. I am actually reviewing a comic book, and I'm reviewing none other than the relaunched Batman title, the flagship Batman comic. And, well, you really should consider Detective Comics the flagship, but the quality in that book has been waning for years. Batman is where it's at currently, and they just relaunched with a number one, which has had incredible sales for DC. It's the number one selling comic of the year for them. And that's because, collectors and also, people who are following this love to jump on number one issues and run with it. Now, this particular comic is being written by Matt Fraction, and it's being drawn by Jorge Jimenez. Now, I really like Jorge Jimenez, his depiction of these characters. Although I think Tim looks a little young. I'm going to be talking about that in the review today. But the art does look pretty amazing. But Matt Fraction, I'm not familiar with him. And I've heard some negative things about him online. And he's definitely bringing politics into Batman. Now, the first issue was kind of interesting because I'm not going to give everything away, but Batman is having hallucinations talking with Alfred. And you don't get a whole lot in the first issue other than the fact that you find out that, Commissioner Gordon is no longer commissioner. He's basically a beat cop. And you find out Vandal Savage is still in charge of the GCPD. And so in this first issue, Batman's having hallucinations talking to Alfred. He makes it well known that he doesn't think these villains will ever be rehabilitated, but has a moment with one of those villains at the end of the issue. And I don't want to give too much away in case you want to read it. It's kind of indifferent to the first issue. I thought it was kind of a low-key way to relaunch the title. But then we jump into issue number 2. And I think issue number 2 is where it kind of jumps the shark. There are some things that are definitely out of character for Batman and the way things went with this particular issue. And we're going to take a look at this. So this has got to be one of the worst panels I think I have ever seen in comics, where Batman is lecturing some cops that police brutality and murder puts us on opposite sides. This is kind of weird coming from the guy who definitely takes brutality to the nth level. Now, I do understand about the murder aspect of this. And yes, these cops were being belligerent and definitely, doing some brutality. But for Batman to say that when he himself is going out and doing it, this doesn't seem like something he would ever say. It's just out of character. But this is only the beginning. So if you see the way that Tim is being drawn here, it looks very cartoonish to me. And we're getting back to the pows, booms. There was a lot of this in this issue. This is when he's breaking out of some handcuffs. And it's a little bit goofy. It's like they're trying to have this more lighter tone with Batman, although the story is definitely not light when you see what is happening with this particular scene and what happens prior to. But there's something that happens shortly after this that I'm thinking they're jumping the shark with Batman. So here we go. There's a particular section of the comic where these two cops basically gun each other down. And while Batman has his head turned, you can see here that there is a click of the shotgun. Batman even cocks his head because he knows what's coming, and then he gets shot in the back of the head. Okay, this is not Batman. I've been reading Batman for 40 years. There is no way in this particular situation Batman would have ever allowed himself to be shot in the back of the head like this. He would be way more aware of his surroundings. He even hears this, which would give him time to move, but he doesn't move. He just allows himself to be shot. None of this in this comic makes any sense whatsoever. Now, Robin being shocked? Yeah, that sure makes sense. And it does. Now, there's also an alternate storyline in this where they're going to the past, where Tim is younger. It's his birthday. Batman gets him a truck to learn how to drive a stick. And he wants him to drive that before he learns to drive the Batmobile. His son, is in this. and his actual son, who's going to be the next Robin. I don't know if he's Robin in this or not. It would be weird if he's not, because they are making Tim the main Robin. But if his son, Damian, is not going to be Robin, it's just kind of weird. But in this flashback, it's very bizarre because it's very clear that Damian is begging for his father's attention, but all of his attention is put on Tim. And it just gave this very weird dynamic. The way this whole issue is written, it just seems way out of character. It doesn't seem like Batman. I don't know what they're going for with this. All right, guys, if I had to give this a review out of 1 out of 5, I'd have to give it a 2. I don't know where they're going with this. I don't know where they're going with the storyline. Vandal Savage is the head of the police department, and we are going to see that he is going to be hunting down both Batman and Tim Drake as Robin in the future. I just don't know what to think about this title at this stage. It's very off-putting. If you guys have read it, what do you think? Chime off below, and we'll see you on the next review.